Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And here come the Canadians. Look out. Yes, these are the new Canadian sculpts from Historical Board Gaming. And they are really sharp. There's 4 different poses you can get. I thought I would go with the just ready to go, right? This dude's ready to go. They've got some other that are kind of militia. Some are really bent, like kind of crouching forward and stuff, but I thought, we'll go with these ones. So I picked up a bunch of those. We'll be getting them painted up shortly. And there's some other neato units in here I want to show you before we get to the game today. One, of course, is the... I just dropped the bomb. Uh-oh. All right, here we go. So we got this atomic bomb here. And I'm going to try something here. I don't know if this is going to translate well, but there you go. You can see, big rivets and things on it. Really, really nice. And it's got, of course, one flat edge, so it sits on a stand. And we also have the V1. Yes, these are awesome little launchers here. We'll be painting these up and getting them ready to go. And so that'll enhance your game. These are great. I love these sculpts that they're printing here. These resin prints are awesome. For the Canadian here, we got the Flower class corvettes. Nice diminutive vessels that helped patrol the Pacific and the Atlantic. And helped protect the convoys on their way across to Germany. Well, we had the V1s. Now here's the V2s. These bad boys, right? And again, very cool. Lots of detail in there. There we go. I think I got it sighted in there now. I had it. Okay. Anyway, very cool. Really like those. They'll be hitting the board shortly. But there's 3 other small ones I want to show you, and these are fantastic. I highly recommend picking these up. You could use this for your advanced artillery for the Germans. The Nebelwürfer. I don't know, that's not working too well there, so I'm just going to bring it over here. Give some light to it anyway. The Nebelwürfer, look at that. You can see all the barrels. Sorry for the focus problems, folks. I'm trying to get it so you can see it under the light. Yeah. Just trying to make sure that I get the light hitting so you can see all the detail there. Really nice looking model. So I bought a bunch of those because the Germans do like their advanced artillery. And then, of course, it's German. You got to have your motorcycle with your sidecar with the machine gun on it. Once again, just incredible detail here. Look at that. You see what size of boots he's wearing. That's just really cool. I really like that. That's a great model. Spare tire on the back and everything. And the last one is one that maybe you're not familiar with. And these are called Goliaths. And the Goliaths, having trouble focusing on that little guy there. There we go. The Goliaths are, they're not that big, about 3 meters long at the most. And, 3 meters. Yeah, I guess they could be about 3 meters. Most of them were about 6 feet long, I believe, and packed with a bunch of TNT, right? High explosives, basically anything they get their hands on. And they were either radar controlled or controlled with a wired remote. And they'd send these things out from around a building or a corner or through a hedgerow or something and then detonate it. And not really reliable, and they didn't get to use a ton of them successfully, but when they did, boy, they ruined the day for the Allies. But once again, you can see just great. You can see the treads in the Goliath. Just really great. So if you want to pick up some of these, I mean, these are just fantastic little sculpts. You never know when you can use them, and if you don't think you'll ever use Goliaths, well, they make really good light armor because they're tiny. For reference, here's the infantry. Right, so they're really small, and they can pack a real punch. So those are just some of the new sculpts I just picked up from Historical Board Gaming, and they'll be hitting my table in short order. Really like that Nebelwoofer. I don't know what it is about that. That's just a great piece. All right, folks, on to the game. All right, well, here we are. We're going to do a solo game of A&A D-Day. I actually did one yesterday, and my camera I was using was just terrible. I tried something new because my old camera that I've been using for about 5-6 years has kind of given up the ghost a bit. The buttons aren't working too well and whatnot, and I can't trust that it's actually filming when it says it's filming. So I tried another camera, and the thing was very blurry. It looked a little blurry on the screen, but when you put it on the big screen, it's very blurry. And it was a very interesting game, and maybe I'll show you some footage of it, and you can make out through the blur that the Germans absolutely dominated. The Americans ended up taking Cherbourg with 1 infantry and then had a couple more headed back down. But the Germans had about, I can't even remember now, about a dozen or 15 units in and around Saint-Lô, and no American units survived. Caen was held by the British at the end of all things, but it was not even close. It was in no doubt from about round 6 on. Now that was due mainly to some really horrific rolling by the Allies. They had a couple of battles around here where they had 7 or 8 dice, got no hits, and then took 5 or 6 casualties on the return fire. So just not good at all. They lost a bomber on round 3, I think, and lost a fighter on round 1, and another fighter later on, round 6 or 7. So it was pretty bad. If you're not familiar with this game, this is an Avalon Hill offering from about 20 years ago. And essentially, you've got your beaches here. They've just got the British, even though Juno was the Canadians. And then they got the Americans over here, a little bit of air power. No German air power whatsoever, which never really sits well with me because the Germans did have 200 to 300 Focke-Wulf 190s in the area that actually hampered some things. But of course, they can't go up against the thousands upon thousands of aircraft, so they had to be very, very strategic. But they did exist, right? They did exist. So kind of feel like the Germans were dealt a poor hand on this one. You follow what is going on in the deck here. It's very simple. It's a step-by-step. You repeat, repeat, repeat. Sometimes, like the first one is going to be the airborne, right? So you do the airborne attacks. So you got 3, 3, and 3 airborne, and they get their attack, and then that card's gone. The rest of the cards you kind of go through, but eventually they won't mean much either as you complete things like moving stuff from the beach boxes onto the land. Essentially what goes on in this game is the Allies go first, attack, Germans defend, and the Germans attack, the Allies defend. If you find yourself in a zone with another unit from the other side, you have to fight. You can't choose not to fight. It's a 10-round game. The Americans have this many reinforcements coming in. They have a grand total of 6 armor coming into the game. The British start with 3 armor, and they bring in another 5 armor, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they bring in another 5. So they actually have a couple more tanks to the Americans. And the Germans come in with a bajillion armor, as you can see. Right off in the top row, they have 8 armor. Plus, they start with, I think, 4 on the board. 5. There's one way up on the Cotentin Peninsula there. And it's divided into 2, the east and the western halves. And you just roll dice for all of them. You roll 2 dice, 2d6s. And if you take it off at this side, they come in here or here. And then you roll for the western group. And they can come in either here or over here. And the Americans and the British have to, of course, come in here. There are some things that kind of hurt the Americans. You can only bring in as many units in each zone as you have spaces to land. So the Americans only have 4 in Utah, and that's the first beach that the first 6 have to go on. So no matter what you roll, unless you roll less than a 4, you're just going to be getting 4 infantry as reinforcements for the Americans. So that's pretty tough. There are some bombardments, though. You can take care of these blockhouses. They can be pretty devastating. They attack at a 3, and they also not just on the attack phase, but also they have a bombard phase into the water. So we try to take care of them and open up a gap. Typically, Omaha is the place that needs most help. There's 7 units, plus those 2, plus there's a couple of reinforcements that can come in. It's pretty messy. But we're going to see if we can have a little bit closer of a game. Yesterday's game after round 6 really wasn't that interesting because I did some math in my head and it was, this isn't going to end well. Unless the dice do a complete reversal, which they rarely do. All right, folks. Well, here we go. We're going to see how this goes today. Hopefully it's a bit more even. Stay tuned. We'll see how Omaha works out. All right, round 1 is in the books, and it was ugly for the Americans. We'll start over here on Utah. Yeah, I got 1 hit with all that stuff. And we lost 2 of our paratroopers. But we only got 1 hit and lost a couple of guys. There's our reinforcements. And Omaha, yeah, got absolutely shredded and killed 3 infantry for all that trouble. That's it. They lost everything they landed. Gold Beach, kind of a non-starter. Killed 1 German and lost 1 Brit. On Juno, the Canadians were able to land. Oops. Oh, it's our reinforcements. And took that out. Sword got clogged up. Hit nothing, really. I think we killed 1 German infantry. That was it. Didn't hit a bunkhouse or blockhouse or anything. And now the German reinforcements are pouring in. Not good. I'm taking a real risk putting a British tank here because it can be targeted by these 3. So hopefully I get 3 hits out of my 6 dice, which is asking a lot. Only got 2 last time, so I took them out of Omaha. Didn't seem to make much of a difference. But there you have it, folks. It's pretty crazy. Lots of reinforcements coming in for the Germans. They got a 9 and they got a 7. And of course the Americans just get their 4 infantry, and the British rolled a 7 as well. So crazy. Plus, if we look at the boneyard here, yep, British fighter got shot down by a single artillery, got a 1. Really rough start for the Allies. Not looking good right off the bat. But hey, there's lots of game to play, and we shall see if they can rally the troops and head up the beach. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. What a difference a turn can make. Now, while things are not rosy for the Allies, they had some real success up here, and the entire German effort got wiped out. Lost a tank and 2 artillery pieces, I believe, trying to get into here, because I put 4 fighters here. And then the remainder of these 8 infantry were able to stop the German assault by getting 4 hits on 8 dice. So that was pretty good, and as you can see, none of them got killed. Now the Germans still have a ton of stuff over here, and they actually haven't rolled very well for reinforcements, so you'll see there's quite a bit more coming. Omaha remains blank, of course, because they had nothing to land, and I'm taking a bit of a chance. I put the reinforcements here. I only rolled a 5 with the Americans, and I figured this is the place to put them, mainly because I got to tie down these guys here. I don't want them roaming around. The British had some marginal success here. We actually took Caen, but then the Panzer divisions coming up from the south were able to take it back, but not without the loss of an artillery and an armor. Up here we had 4 German tanks were able to assault and got 3 hits, taking out 3 British infantry, but then the British were able to take out 2 of the tanks. So, yeah, things are okay there. Now, the British have most of their stuff on the board already because they've been rolling the lights out, so you can see that they're down to that much left to the entire game, and we've only played 2 turns. The Germans, on the other hand, have quite a bit of stuff, especially in the west. The east they've rolled pretty well, but the west has got a ton of material yet to come in, so it's going to be difficult, to say the least. So after round 2, we are no further than just on the beachheads. That's usually not a good sign, but hey, at least we're doing a little better than last time. Last turn, a lot of German casualties starting to pile up, a lot of armor, which is nice to see, and some artillery. Yeah, they're pretty rare to die early on, but we got pretty lucky. But the British, they've lost over half their infantry here, so It's going to be a bloody round 3, I think, over here. And we'll see if Omaha can withstand. The bad thing about this is the Germans have 3 Panzer divisions. So when they land, even if they get some hits, the Panzers can come in. And you may not know this, but there is an 8-unit limit to each territory for each side. So you can only have 8 units. And right now there's 6 there, so only 2 tanks can come in. But if the Americans get a hit, then yeah, they can bring in another one. And just an aside, I'm using these dice. I did this yesterday as well. These are the dice that Triple Crown made for me. He made me a couple of sets of these along with the holders for them. I've shown them on other videos, but there you go. And these hit dice have been hitting really hard for the Germans and about average for the Allies, but could even out. We'll let you know. Round 3, Omaha. All right, turn 4 is about to start, and yeah, keeps on keeping on, I guess, is the best way to say it. Americans were able to take care of that pillbox. There's only one, pardon me, a blockhouse. You keep calling it a pillbox. I wonder why. And they were able to take care of that one by Montabaur. Over here, we had the British come over and lend a hand. And not really an awful lot was done. They got a couple of hits. We were able to take out some of the AA guns. One of the tanks was killed. I had 4 fighters in here. And the last one didn't make it. And thanks to the British help, though, they were able to survive the counterattack by losing a couple of British units. Over here, yeah, the British are doing well. They rolled a 6 this time. And the Germans on this side here rolled an 8 and put everybody into here. And the fighters were positioned here and here to try to stop things from getting into Caen. But decided not to go into Caen lightly. Might end up regretting that, but we'll see. We'll see. That's pretty much it. Pretty quick wrap up. No fighters were lost or bombers were lost. And the Germans are continuing to hold their breath here on the west. The east, they're just about out. They've only got 4 units left, so they've pretty much, they're a spent force on the eastern side of the board, but the west and the center here, Saint-Lô, is likely going to be the conflagration around turn 8 or 9 that will decide the game. So we'll have to see if we might have to take some risks with our air power and go after units, even though there's the 88s in there, the venerable 88s, trying to punch holes into our planes. But we may have to do it. We may be forced into using force. All right, turn 4 coming up. All right, we're approaching the halfway mark, and well, it's going to be interesting. It's a very intriguing game, actually. I'm having the Germans just kind of hole up here. And they're going to have 8 dice in Cherbourg, probably 7 by the time the Americans get there, because that one blockhouse will be gone. And it's a decent defense. Lots of Americans up there, but not much punch. Not much punch at all. And over here, Omaha, open up. I didn't send any units into Omaha because I only had 2 infantry here to go in, and they would have just been shredded, so I decided to hold them back. And British moved up here, and Saint-Lô looks fairly well entrenched, but we'll see how it goes. Only rolled a 3 for the west this time, so they continue to have quite a number of reinforcements ready to come in, but the eastern side is now out of reinforcements. Yeah, they rolled a 4, got the last 4. They were able to dispatch a couple of British tanks and artillery up here, and so this is what's going to be threatening Caen. And so all of these guys are going to have to come on, and we may have to pull a tank out here. We'll probably use some airplanes there to hopefully thwart some of the German reinforcements. That's about all we can do there, because the British are done, right? There's no more reinforcements for the Brits. That's it. So it's a game of 2 halves, and it's really anyone's game. Slightly favoring the Germans just because they've still got a ton of stuff to come on that can actually head here. So, well, and the Brits are out, right? That's it. So that might be the play for the Germans. But time will tell. See if the air power can bring in some love and affection for these German troops. All right, here we go. Turn 5. Kaboom. All right, we're officially halfway through, and the Americans still have a decent amount of reinforcements, which can only mean they're not getting a lot onto the board. So we've drawn the battle lines up north and loaded some more stuff up here with a bit more punch. And we'll have to go take a run at Cherbourg. I think we might have to send our bombers into Cherbourg this time. Hopefully you don't get shot down by the artillery. Over here we have, this was interesting. I sent in 8 units for the Allies, and they got 2 hits, and the Germans got 3 hits in the response. And then the Germans attacked, only got 2 hits, and the Allies ended up getting 4 hits. So kind of evened out. They ended up with 3 each. Still have the 8 infantry here that are likely going to have to just move into here and tie those guys up. Likely won't get too many hits, if any. But if they can tie down some German reinforcements for a couple turns, that'll be all right. Good stack of Germans here. This is where I placed all the German reinforcements to pressure Caen, because this is a finite game now for the British. They just don't have anything else coming on, and the Germans have a ton of stuff here, so I might have to hit this with the bombers too. Of course, I can only hit one thing at a time, so... And this much stuff still remains to come on. They rolled an 8 this turn, and they still have 12 units to move on. So, halfway through, and a pretty sparse battlefield halfway through. Usually there's a few more things, but we've had some real slugfests. All right, we'll let you know how the next round goes. This could be interesting. All right, we're getting down to it here. The Germans are down to 3 reinforcements left. The Americans are down to 5. Cherbourg is getting surrounded here. I didn't hit it with the bombers. I went after this other spot here, and I did take out 1 tank and didn't lose a bomber. So that's good for the Allies. Big stack of love and affection there coming at Caen. Definitely be putting 4 fighters into Caen. That's the limit. Otherwise, I'd probably put 8. Looks like the Americans and British are going to get to Saint-Lô before the German reinforcements. But, again, there are a lot of German reinforcements coming. These Americans will likely move into here to tie up them. And we'll see. So we're on turn 7. Landing 8, 9, so they can make it. Hopefully we roll enough to get these tanks on. Right, we got to get those tanks moving. 1 more turn to surround Cherbourg and give it the old 1-2 punch. Anybody's game, folks. It's really coming down to it here. Your Deadpool, the Americans have actually done okay. Haven't taken a lot, but they haven't been in a lot of fights either. So German Deadpool is growing every round, and they still got a lot of stuff out there. And the British, of course, well, they're the British. Heavy on infantry and really taking it on the chin. So, well, sure, these fellows will be joining us shortly. And hopefully they will. And we'll get a nice finish to the game. All right, round 7 coming up. 3 rounds remain. All the Americans are in and all the Germans are in. So what you see is what you got, folks. Cherbourg, well and truly surrounded. We've got 3 rounds to try to kill 7 units. Down here in Saint-Lô, things they're looking interesting. We do have all the Americans on, and those tanks will be coming on here next round. Here on round 8, they're going to land, and then 9, 10. So we can reach Saint-Lô by the end of the game. Over here in Caen, it looks like it's going to be a British victory. And just in the nick of time, too. The 4 fighters that were in here took their toll, killing a couple of armor and a couple of artillery on the way in. And so the punch that the Germans had was fairly ineffectual. They only got 1 hit. As you can see, there's still 7 British units. So it looks like Caen has been saved by the Canadians. Woohoo! No. Definitely a team effort. That's what D-Day was. D-Day plus till the end of the war was definitely a team effort. So, this here, I decided to come down here. There were 3 artillery sitting in here, and I thought, shoot, I don't want to leave those laying around. So I came in and attacked them with a bunch of infantry and tanks, and we were able to get rid of them in 1 round of combat. And then the tanks and everything swarmed in. They only got 1 hit. They had 4 tanks and 3 infantry, and they only got 1 hit. So that was very fortuitous timing for the dice to get nice. So this is still definitely up for grabs. The Germans outnumber the Americans, British right now. I might be able to bring this tank over in time to help out. And if we can take care of Caen, maybe these tanks can come over. Turn 9, come down to here. Turn 10, hit Saint-Lô. So could be interesting. Still anybody's game though, folks. And, well, we're relying on an awful lot of 1s here. And probably the bombers. We'll let you know. Oh, it's going to be a good finish, folks. Let's take a look at Cherbourg. Lucky enough to get 3 hits on the first round of combat here. Suffered a couple of casualties coming back. But lots of reinforcements for the Americans, but 2 turns, got to get 4 hits. The dice are fickle. Down here in Saint-Lô, well, the Germans have amassed all of their armor and a number of reinforcements. So the fighters are definitely going in and around Saint-Lô, hoping to keep them at bay. Now the tanks are on shore, looking a little better for the Allies right now, especially since we were able to get rid of that pesky German contingent in Caen. So here we go, folks. 2 turns left. Do we have enough to actually survive, get into Saint-Lô, and not let any Germans survive the counterattack? It's going to be close. All right, this is what the last couple hours have all been building towards. Just 1 guy left in Cherbourg. Not looking like a good survival rate for him, but we still got to roll the dice. And Saint-Lô is now in Allied hands, and lots of reinforcements coming in. So, looking like the Allies are going to have a lot of stuff in there, but here's the problem. There are 10 total German units that are going to try to get in here. All right. Now, I've got 2 ways I can play this. I can try to tie them up, and that's probably my best option. But if they die, if these tanks come over and try to tie it up, that could be a problem. But basically, you can't have anything left in here, and you only do 1 round of combat. So if these guys can get in and survive, Germans win. I've seen the Germans win with 1 unit left on the board. So this is going to be tricky. I think the Allies have this. Mathematically, the Allies definitely have this. But you still got to roll the dice again. So wish us luck. Well, that is the end. There ain't no more. Cherbourg fell, and just for kicks, I just rolled a single infantry die to see if I could kill him, and I did. So then he actually got a hit back. So there you have it. 7 units remain in Cherbourg. And down south, yeah, pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I brought 6 tanks into here. Only got a few hits. Didn't wipe them out. They had 3 units left. But then in the counterattack, I had 5 tanks, and we got 3 hits with those and wiped them out. So nobody even got into Saint-Lô. And these guys here were fighting 2 artillery, and they only killed 1. So that meant that there was still an artillery there, and they wouldn't be able to come in anyway. So that's it, folks. That's a fairly convincing victory at the end of all things here for the Allies. Their dice really heated up at the right time. We did lose a bomber, though. American bomber got shot down. I brought it here to bomb that stack of stuff. And, well, that's the price you pay. So the 8th Air Force took a little bit of a hit there. Well, thanks so much for watching, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check out Historical Board Gaming for those units that I showed you at the beginning of this. And pick them up. They're great. They're fabulous, and you can use them in any of those games. I really like those little motorcycle troops. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. All right, folks, that's everything from me today. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully the visual and the audio is good here. I'm shooting on my phone, which I never do, and I don't have my gimbal with me. It's at school, and so it might be a little bouncy. Hopefully I had a steady enough hand and you enjoyed. But take care, folks. As we always say here at the Hilltop Pillbox, hug your loved ones. Thank your friends for playing all these games. And as always, may those dice be with you.